Okay, so if you think about our model, we've worked through, I guess, the belief system, and we've touched on the waste system. So we've thought about why you do what you do. We've thought about what you need to be doing, and I want you to draw on that now, because we're going to go a little bit further into that and get the structure right. And that's about how you're going to manage the day-to-day. So if you think about it, we've been really talking about some big picture issues about getting the, I guess, all the big pieces in alignment, so you get your master plan right, put the foundations in place. So now we can start to think about, well, what is it that we've got to do in terms of getting the structure right, and how are you going to manage the day-to-day. Now, I've got to be honest, I've tried most systems. I had Daytimer diaries, or whatever the diary systems were when they were around. I read Getting Things Done, which is a great book, but I find it doesn't translate for me into a far more electronic world. Maybe he's got another version of it I haven't read. I've been to lots of courses, I've been to lots of seminars, I've read lots of books, and at the end of it, I still couldn't make it work. And I needed to find a system that I could make work, a really simple system that was flexible, that I could use, that I could also use with my clients. And you know what you end up with is thinking about, well, what are the things we really need to do. So I want you to go back and draw on the exercise that we've just done in previous sessions when you answer this question. So I want you to think about, what are the 4 key areas of activity that you must focus on in your business to be successful? Now, this is my really simple model. It's a 4 things framework. I worked out that I just needed to focus on 4 things if I was really going to be successful. Why 4? 3 just wasn't enough for me, and 5 was probably too many. So I just sort of kept it at 4. I was pretty hard on that. I'd encourage you to keep it at no more than 4. Sneak it to 5 if you really want to, but just don't. We'll discuss in a minute what we do with the other stuff. That's both work and business focused, if you like, but I really want you to think about the 4 things framework. So my framework, or my daily roster, if you like, is I need to do some client work. Okay, so that's the stuff that makes me money. So it's working with clients and helping them to grow their businesses. That's what I need to do. So I need to do a reasonable amount of that. I need to do some marketing and sales. This is a marketing and sales activity for me. The webinars are a marketing sales activity for me, and I need to do some of that in order to keep a pipeline of business flowing into my business. I also need to do some strategy work for my business. I need to do some planning work for my business, some development work for my business, but I also need to grow me as an individual, and that's a really important part of that. So that's that strategy and development piece. And then the last piece is I need to work closely with my team in the Philippines. I've got a small team, but I also collaborate with colleagues and other people, and I need to do that well. So I need to have a good communication and team management process. Now, they're the 4 things that I need to do each day. And the challenge is, if I don't do them well, then I'm in a bit of trouble. So what are the 4 things for you? And I really want you to think about that, and there's a space for you to answer that in the worksheet. So you can actually stop this, press pause if you want to, and answer this. So again, think about it. What are the top 4 things you must focus on in order to achieve success? All right. Now, I'm deliberately focusing on work elements here, because most of us are in work, or most of us are in business, and we need to make sure that we deliver in that space in order to be able to get the life balance things right for us. So I really focus in here. So this is about being really strategic, and what are the 4 things, or the 4 key areas that you need to focus on. Okay. In order to be there. So press pause when you're ready. Come back and we'll talk about what to do with the other stuff. Okay, welcome back. So you focused on your 4 things, and I hope you got got 4 things that made sense. If you can't come up with some for yourself, just copy mine to start with, all right? So they're reasonably generic. You'll need to do something to do with delivery. You normally need to do something around sales and marketing. You normally need to build your team in some way, shape or form, and you need to do some planning and development for your business and yourself. But you might have another one, or you want to plug into that. All right, but what do we do for everything else? Well, I've developed what I call this stop doing matrix. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm not sure whether I developed it or I borrowed it from somebody else. If I've borrowed it from somebody, I have forgotten, and I apologize for that in advance. But this is my stop doing matrix. And what I do is I say, okay, for all the other things I need to do that drop outside that 4, and if I'm going to really improve my productivity and be far more productive at what I need to do, and look back to some of that Stephen Covey stuff, there'll be some stuff in quadrant 3 and even quadrant 1 that you may need to get rid of. Certainly quadrant 4 you need to do, and plug those into this matrix. And I guess my coach Chris Mason says to me all at least once a year, it's a really annoying question. He says, Russ, if you're going to free up 20% of your time, what are you going to stop doing? And it's a really crap question, so I'm going to ask it for you. If you're going to free up some time to be far more productive, what are some of the things that you need to stop doing? All right, I want you to write those down. All right, so what will you stop? So if you need to, press pause and go to the worksheet and put it in. So what do you need to stop doing? Okay. All right then. Once you've got your stop doing, we then think of the other 3. Okay, so for all those things, sometimes you just can't stop doing. There are things that still need to happen and still need to be done. All right, so you might be able to delegate those to somebody else. Okay, so that's, for me, delegations to somebody within your business or within your something. So who can you delegate part or all of a task to? All right, so think about that. Now, the thing with delegation is it takes time and energy to do it well. Otherwise, you're just giving poor instructions to people and you get what you ask for. So people will often say that there's no point delegating, I might as well do it myself, it takes longer to delegate. Yeah, it might take longer to do it the first time, but after a few times, you're actually well ahead of the game. So think about delegation, okay? What can you delegate? You don't have to delegate it all. You might delegate a part of it and do something else. Okay, so think about that. And the third one is outsourcing. Okay, now I'm not sure if all of you are able to outsource, and that's okay. It's a bit like delegation. With anybody to delegate to, then you might need to outsource. Okay, so you may not have the authority to outsource or do other things, but think about jobs that you can give to people outside. Now, often they can be specific tasks, and we'll talk about virtual assistants and those sort of things later. But who can you outsource the tasks to in order to free up some time for you? Okay, and then the last one is re-engineer. So, how can we redesign the process so it takes 10% of the time that it currently takes? Okay, so you might even still do it, but if you re-engineer it, you might be able to re-engineer it in fact the way that you can delegate it to somebody else or outsource it to somebody else. So this often involves software solutions or process improvements and changes, or a whole range of things in order for you to do that. And we'll talk about some of the software solutions I've used in order to re-engineer my business later in the course. Okay, so that's your stop doing matrix. So now what I want you to do is press pause, and I want you to think through the matrix. Okay, so go to the worksheet. You've already done the stop. You might go back and review that, but think about what could I delegate, what could I outsource, and what could I re-engineer. And I want you to add at least one task into each quadrant. Now, you may not be able to do outsource, or I get that, but you should be able to do delegation or re-engineering. Okay, so put at least one thing in there. Now, this is about discipline. Okay, this is about the discipline of saying, hang on a second, what am I going to do? Well, it's focus and discipline, if you like. It's about saying, what am I going to do? But it's the discipline of saying, I'm actually going to stop doing that. I'm going to give that to somebody else. I'm going to let go some control, if you like, by giving it to somebody else. You don't have to do everything yourself. All right then. Hope that makes perfect sense. If not, just flick me an email. Happy to answer your questions around that. And we'll talk again in the next module. Thanks.